Puerto Ricans who don't speak Spanish, or just Hispanics in general that don't speak Spanish. I'm Puerto Rican myself, and I do not speak Spanish, and I've struggled with this my whole life, and it's something that I am heartbroken over. Um, I remember kind of growing up a little bit before the age of 4. I remember hearing Spanish growing up, but then my mom moved away, and it was just me and her. And I remember asking her, "How come you didn't speak Spanish to me, like growing up? Like, why did you deny me that?" And I was kind of upset because she's fluent. She grew up in Puerto Rico. She went to school in Puerto Rico. She was 9 when she went to go live in Puerto Rico, and she's fluent. She's still fluent. But then when she raised me, it was around a lot of, uh, I guess, white people, you could say. Not that many Hispanics, or not that many Puerto Rican, Spanish-speaking people were in the area. And I understand what the older generation wants to do. They want to Americanize their kids so they fit in. Because I remember one time we went out to this pizza place, and the people who were working behind the counter, I think, were from Guatemala. And my mom would eat there a lot with me, and she would speak Spanish to the people behind the counter. Just something, that, if you speak Spanish, you come across someone else who speaks Spanish, you want to have that conversation. So she started speaking Spanish. I'll never forget this. And this old white lady was like, was mad that my mom was speaking Spanish. She kind of like, I looked over at her, and she gave she like looked at my mom and like rolled her eyes like speak English. And I never forgot that. I never forgot that. And I understand because my mom said, you know, she didn't come out and say this, but I know my mom faced a lot of discrimination growing up. Um, not because being Puerto Rican, and she didn't want to speak Spanish outside the house. She didn't want to speak Spanish in the house. So she wanted me to fit in. She wanted to Americanize me so I fit in and didn't face the discrimination that she faced, I guess. I understand that where she's coming from. But if you are a parent and you speak fluent Spanish, you speak fluent a language other than English, you owe it to your child to pass on that knowledge, because right now I'm 36. I'm going to be 37 in July, and I still don't speak fluent Spanish, and it's difficult to learn it at this age because, one, I don't have any. I can talk to my mom, but it's kind of tough because she has no patience. I love my mom to death, but she has no patience when it comes to teaching me Spanish or speaking Spanish to me, because it's tough to speak a language to somebody when they have to really think about it. Like you can't really have like a good conversation. Um, so what I do is I found a good podcast at work, where it's this gentleman. He's from Puerto Rico, and he's got a lot of episodes on his podcast. So I just listen, and it's just conversational Spanish. It's not like, "Hola, me llamo," es Eric. It's actual conversational Spanish from Puerto Rico, which is what I want to learn, that dialect, because I am Puerto Rican. Even though I don't speak Spanish, even though other Puerto Ricans might disagree, but you know, my blood and their blood is the same. So, um, yeah, that's my goal for 2020, is to get better at my Spanish for however long that may take. Today I spent about a good solid 2.5, 3 hours just listening to just this podcast of this gentleman talking. And I can pick up some words. I can sometimes understand what they're saying, but sometimes I'm like, they're speaking way too fast right now. Like I can understand. I understand the word or I've heard the word before, but when I'm trying to translate it in my head, I'm picking up other words that I'm understanding, and I'm trying to translate these words, but I'm still trying to translate this word, and then I'm trying to connect the two, and then still trying to maintain, uh, keep up with the conversation. So I'm like lagging behind in my translation so slow. So I can understand my mom when she speaks. When I force my mom to speak Spanish to me, I'm like, say it in Spanish. Or if my mom is talking to her uncle on the phone and I'm in the room, like I went to go visit my mom from New Jersey, visit my mom, and I heard her on the phone with her uncle, and I was like, oh, okay, I understand what she's saying. I heard, I heard him on the line saying that he had some gossip for her. He said it in Spanish, and I started laughing. My mom was like, "You understood that?" I was like, "Yeah, I understood that." So sometimes I can understand. If I'm like eavesdropping, I can understand. But if they speak way too fast, I'm like, you have to slow down. I don't understand what you're saying. But yeah, that's my goal for 2020 is to get better at speaking Spanish and understanding it. And because ultimately, I want to be speaking fluently by my 40th birthday. I'm 36 now. So I got 3.5 years to get better at my Spanish. So if you have kids, you speak Spanish in the house. If you don't want to speak Spanish outside the house, you want to speak English, then fine, so be it. But in the house, you have to speak Spanish to them. Do not let them grow up and not know Spanish. Okay? Take it from me. Because when they get older, they're going to blame you. They're going to get mad at you and say, "Why didn't you teach me Spanish?" Because they're going to want to learn. So, yeah, that's my goal for 2020. My my Puerto Ricans who don't speak Spanish or Hispanics who don't speak Spanish. We're trying, man. We're trying. It's not our fault, um, but we're trying. So uh, maybe I'll make some videos on my progress, on my Spanish progress, and let me know if you're in the. How do you feel? If you feel the same way, if you grew up uh, Hispanic and your parents didn't teach you Spanish, how do you feel about that? You probably feel the same way as me, the same way I do. You wish that they taught you Spanish because you feel like it's something that was robbed from you. Not that too many people have that um, opportunity to have two languages in the house. So, but anyways, catch you guys in the next video.